I'm tripping over dogs to get to my chair. Well, let's start off the week with another episode of Grindhouse, 42nd Street style, with 42nd Street Pete myself here. So, anyway, remember a jingle called Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo, catch a tiger by the toe, if he hollers, let him go, Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo? Well, there was another word that we're not going to get into that was substituted for tiger, which was pretty racist, and the fact that this was, thrown about in most 50s white households kind of sucked. But anyway, going back, there was a film released in 1968 called If He Hollers, Let Him Go, and it starred Raymond St. Jacques, Kevin McCarthy, and Dana Winter, who were both in Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Now, it opens up where the Raymond St. Jacques character, James, is in prison for raping and murdering a pregnant white girl. Well, we get to see him making an escape, and unfortunately, a guard is shot in the back trying to block his escape, which of course he will be blamed for, as the whole deal is the blame game. So we see in flashbacks that James was working in a garage, and this woman had pulled in to ask him some questions, and it started getting hot and heavy. But this other guy, this creepy guy Harry, played by Steve Sandor with a bulletproof pompadour, was watching the thing and actually saw that their hands touched. So he, of course, reported this to his boss, Mr. Blair, played by Royal Dano, that his daughter was, being molested by a darky, or whatever the hell they were doing. So we get to see the whole court thing unravel. We get to see how basically Harry got himself arrested to be thrown in a cell with James so he could beat the shit out of him, and everything leading up until James' escape. Well, the sheriff, played by John Russell, who seems to always play sheriffs. He was in 2 Clint Eastwood movies, Outlaw Josie Wales and Pale Rider. And he was the star of TV's Lawman, where he played another sheriff with a deputy who had the worst case of early male camel toe anybody had ever seen. But anyway, they're in hot pursuit, and they're letting it pretty much known that they're going to shoot this guy. So in the meantime, he's picked up by, I gotta write shit down, Leslie Whitlock, who is married to the other Mrs. Whitlock, played by Dana Winter. And he basically takes James back to his house and offers him $10,000 to kill his wife. And why? Because he fucking hates the South. He's from Massachusetts, and he only married her to get his money. Well, James isn't like that. And basically, he tries to warn Mrs. Leslie, that, Mrs. Whitlock rather, that this is what's going to happen. Of course, she doesn't believe him. He's a fugitive from the law and stuff like that. We get more flashbacks seeing an angry prosecutor, played by a guest star Arthur O'Connor, basically raking James over the coal, and he's sentenced to prison for murder and rape of a white woman. Well, the whole thing starts to unravel because James doesn't want to kill Mrs. Whitlock and takes off with her, and basically is telling her that what the plan is. She don't believe him until he pulls out the $10,000 that Mr. Whitlock gave him and throws it in his face. So now it seems that everything's coming to fruition because they're closing in. He's in a warehouse, and it comes out that basically the rapist and murderer was none other than Blair himself, her father, but not really her father because he was adopted. That's how he blows it off. What he did was he got James drunk one night and scraped his skin and put it under his dead daughter's fingernails. So the whole thing was set up. But Harry knows this thing and finds this out and is pissed off and gets shot. He makes a dying confession to a police officer, and Mrs. Whitlock, while they have James pinned down under a hail of bullets. So all of a sudden, all this comes to light, and Mr. Whitlock decides to take out James to shut him up, but walks into the path of a bullet fired by Blair, which hits him in the back of the head. So it sort of ends with James being led off to jail by the sheriff, and Mrs. Whitlock promising that he will be free and she will do everything within her power and her money to make it happen. Well, at least this one had an upbeat ending compared to some of the films I had seen. 30 minutes into this film, you'll be ashamed to be white. That's how fucking rotten it is as far as the racist stuff goes. It is mistakenly pushed by, I believe it's Dark Sky, as a blaxploitation movie. It wasn't. It's a pretty heavy-duty drama with actually an upbeat ending for a change as compared to other films like The Liberation of L.B. Jones, which I'll get into at some point. But Raymond St. Jacques was always a great actor, as was Kevin McCarthy and Dana Winter. Actually, everyone in this film is really good at their roles. And like I say, Royal Dano, Steve Sandor, Arthur O'Connell play these southern redneck racists to a T. And James is the innocent victim who somehow keeps his cool through the whole thing, going to prove that he's innocent. So definitely worth a look. Like I said, I think Dark Sky is selling it, though it may be out of print. So in case you haven't heard, our little lifeline to obscure cult films, Tubi, may be drying up because a new CEO took over, and you know what that's going to mean. So folks, hold on to your physical media, because once the shit's gone, it's gone forever, and streaming has proven this. And so many films have slipped through the cracks already that I don't even want to get into that. But until next time, stay safe. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to check out the Fusebox Show at thefuseboxshow.com. And those people have graciously put up a website for me, www.42ndstreetpete.net, if you want to buy any of my books or magazines. And until next time, we'll catch you on the flip side.